Readers are intrigued about the trilogy you wrote. They often ask, why did you call your first book a teaching novel?
That's a great question to begin with. When I was a boy, I happened to run across a teaching novel. They're not that common, and the idea stuck with me. I love to read and I love to learn, but I often got bored listening to my teachers, and my textbooks just weren't all that interesting. A teaching novel seemed to be the perfect way to communicate what I had to say.
So you decided to write fiction to make reading enjoyable, but with the goal of also providing useful information for your readers.
Absolutely. People learn best when they find something to be interesting. It's much easier for a baseball fan to learn batting averages than it is for them to remember the periodic table. The idea applies to all of us. We easily learn things that grab our attention.
Okay, you wanted to entertain while also teaching, but what was it that you wanted people to learn?
In a general sense, the answer is simple. I spent 40 years of my life working as a clinical psychologist. I've vicariously lived many lives and encountered an incredible variety of human problems. Along the way, I've learned something about what works and what doesn't.
It sounds like your books were designed to spare people from making unfortunate decisions while telling them what to do instead.
You started off on the right track, but veered off in a way that's not surprising.
I certainly want you to explain, but first I would like for you to tell the audience more about your background. Tell us what you did during those 40 years in order to gain that knowledge.
Rather than going through my entire vita, I'll give you a sample. During my early career, I held many positions, including clinical director of a large mental health center, director of a traumatic brain injury facility, and president of a professional school. I also spent many years in private practice. More complete information is available at drnealritter.com.
You've had an incredible range of experiences.
That's one of the real advantages of being a psychologist. There are many avenues available for working and learning. During my career, I was able to develop special areas of expertise ranging from neuropsychology to working with altered states of awareness.
You've obviously had a chance to learn a lot about what makes people tick. I'm glad you're willing to share from your experiences. How did you incorporate what you've learned into a fictional format?
My books consist of stories within a story. Each is intended to provide a lesson. I'll give you an example. Linda, one of the main characters, hears a credible rumor that her husband is having an affair with her best friend.
Sounds like a nightmare scenario.
I'm pretty sure most would agree. Her first impulse is to kill one or both of them. Instead, she takes a breath and consults with her psychologist, Bill.
I hope she decides on something short of murder.
Fortunately, she does. In the course of their session, she comes to realize just how important her marriage is to her. She makes a somewhat surprising decision. Rather than accusing him, which would likely cause him to lie or become defensive, she comes up with a different strategy.
What is that?
She decides to make it her goal simply to set the stage so he will be honest with her. She realizes that if her marriage can be saved, it's the best plan. If she set out hoping for reassurance, denials, or promises to change, she knows that she might just get them, but it would only be putting a band aid on what could be a bigger problem.
What you're saying is just basic common sense.
Exactly. I think most people would agree with her strategy. However, in the heat of the situation, what would they actually do?
Then you're instructing them on the right course of action?
No, not at all. What I provide through my books is implicit learning. My goal is not for people to come away thinking they've learned a how to for life's problems. My lessons are indirect. The hope is that they will have an impact at a less than conscious level, so they will come back to you when you need them.
That style sounds very original.
It's anything but. It's the way in which people have learned through the ages with parables and folk tales. Lessons are passed on through stories that help shape their moral compass.
Back to my earlier question. You said you don't tell people what to do. Please explain.
That's an important point. The very thought is anathema to a psychologist. I don't know the right thing for an individual to do. More importantly, I'm not going to be the one that has to live through the consequences of their decisions. Neither do psychologists enable decisions that might make them feel better momentarily, but not work for them in the long term. How about I give you an example?
Sure, that would be great.
It comes from when I first started working at a mental health center. A woman came in with her face bloody and bruised. She told me tearfully that she was desperate to get away from her abusive husband, but didn't know what to do.
That sounds horrible. What did you do to help her?
As you can imagine, my heart went out to her. I felt like I had to do something, so I called social services. They chuckled. They said they would get her a motel room just this once, since I was a newbie.
You must have felt gratified for helping her.
I did, momentarily. The next day I got a call from social services. They told me she had called her husband and they had spent the night in the room. Then they left, stealing all the towels.
It sounds like you learned a painful lesson. Okay, I think I get it. You don't so much solve people's problems or tell them what to do. You use your knowledge concerning human behavior to guide them in making the best decisions for themselves.
You're on the right track. We don't just listen, though obviously that's necessary to some extent. It's different with every client, but often we work more as partners or instructors in helping people navigate through the challenges of life.
I take it that your books follow characters such as Linda as they go about their lives. It sounds very different from self-help books.
You're right in that I don't provide simplistic steps for self-improvement. I tell stories. They contain lessons intended to promote personal development. They allow readers to consider their own decisions and values within the context of the fictional characters.
I noticed a spiritual aspect to your books. Is that part of psychology?
I'm glad you asked because it's important to make a clarification. My books are based on my own experiences. In them, I provide my own philosophy of life that I developed over many years. They aren't meant to be reflective of traditional psychology or psychotherapy.
You're saying that people shouldn't expect to have transcendental experiences during an ordinary office visit.
Absolutely not. My books are fictional, though some of the scenes are reflective of actual sessions. People came to see me with the expectation that I would provide conventional psychological services. 99% of the time, that's what I did.
But in your books, you described the other 1%. It was that part that was truly fascinating.
An overarching theme of the trilogy involved the search for the Holy Grail, the infamous search for self that has continued throughout recorded history.
I'm sure the readers would like to learn more about that topic.
There's obviously a lot I can say. After all, I wrote 3 books about it. For now, I'll just tell you that we, as human beings, feel a need to seek something greater than who we are as individual human beings.
You're saying that we want something beyond wealth and immediate gratification?
Absolutely. It's important to have goals and to work to accomplish them. But what's next? What happens when you reach the top of the mountain and find there's nothing there?
Does that mean that people are chasing dreams for nothing other than momentary self-gratification? It sounds rather tragic.
Not in the least. My books encourage readers to develop a greater perspective. When I talk about self-realization, the self I'm referring to is not their individual egos. Instead, I'm encouraging them to recognize and allow a unification with something beyond, something greater.
Do you tell them what is beyond?
Not at all. They have to find their own answers. My purpose is not to preach or convert. I don't pretend to tell them what is right for them. What I can do is point the way.